Yes, you could likely get away with using lactic acid and lactate interchangeably, as most people in the exercise physiology world would know what you're talking about, but they technically are different. Because as you're going through anaerobic glycolysis and building up lactic acid, it actually quickly dissociates into lactate and a hydrogen ion. And it's that hydrogen ion that contributes to the acidity that's building up within the muscle fiber. And this acidity does need to be dealt with because this could potentially impair or slow the overall function of the muscle fiber. And this buildup of lactic acid, or what we should more appropriately say lactate and the hydrogen ion, can sometimes give lactate a little bit of a bad rap or mischaracterize it, which is the second thing we need to address. Lactate is sometimes referred to as a metabolic waste product. Yes, we have to manage the accumulating levels that can occur during exercise, but it's not like it's this toxic substance that our body is trying to rid itself of or excrete. It is a metabolic byproduct because we're going to find that when oxygen becomes more readily available again, say like when you decrease your exercise intensity, or maybe there's some cells or tissues that are close by to those exercising muscles that have more oxygen available, what we're going to see is that that lactate can be transported into the mitochondria to make more ATP. So let's use an exercise example to illustrate how cool this is. Let's say we start off exercising at a light to moderate intensity. And at that level of intensity, we should have enough oxygen available to produce ATP for our working muscles through mostly aerobic pathways, which means we're primarily going to be recruiting those slow twitch muscle fibers and mostly using fat in the mitochondria as our energy source. But as we increase the intensity, let's say we're jogging and we increase our running speed, or this could even be applied to certain weight training scenarios. Maybe we're doing multiple repetitions of heavy squats. The point is we're increasing the intensity. And as we increase that intensity, we're gonna have to start recruiting some of those fast twitch muscle fibers and starting to shift to more of those anaerobic pathways like anaerobic glycolysis. And we know that we can only maintain a certain level of intensity for a certain amount of time. The higher the intensity, the less amount of time that we can sustain it for before we either have to back off, slow down, or even just rest. And what's happening is we're depleting our ATP while we're accumulating more lactate. So what is our body going to do about this? So you'll likely notice that when you pull back from a bout of high intensity exercise or enter this rest and recovery phase, that you'll be breathing heavy. And you might think, why would I need to breathe heavy if high intensity exercise is mostly requiring anaerobic pathways or anaerobic metabolism that doesn't require oxygen? Well, it's not like the aerobic pathways just shut down. You're essentially getting to this point of intensity where you just can't bring the oxygen into the muscle, the mitochondria, and process it fast enough. So then you have to shift to and rely on other energy systems that are faster, like the anaerobic glycolysis. But the drawback of that is they're fast, but they don't produce much ATP. And so you can only sustain that for a short amount of time. And we get to this problem that we mentioned earlier where we've diminished the ATP within the muscle and also accumulated lactate. And this is one of the main reasons why you're breathing heavily during those rest periods, because you're trying to deal with this.